In the chaos of battle, when the outcome is uncertain and every move carries consequence, it's not brute force that decides who wins. It's strategy. The Art of War by Sun Tzu is not just a book about military tactics. It's a timeless manual for navigating conflict, uncertainty, and the pursuit of victory with clarity and discipline. Written over 2,500 years ago in ancient China, its lessons continue to shape the thinking of generals, CEOs, athletes, and leaders around the world. This book is short in length but vast in depth. Every line is a piece of sharpened wisdom. Every passage is a mirror reflecting human nature under pressure. Whether you're managing a team, launching a business, or facing a personal challenge, the Art of War teaches you this. The greatest victories are won not on the battlefield but before the battle even begins. And the most dangerous opponent is not the one in front of you, it's your own ignorance. Sun Tzu teaches us to see war not as destruction, but as a tool of understanding, of learning how to outthink rather than outfight, how to master yourself before you attempt to lead others, and how to win not by force but by foresight. With that lens, we now dive into each of the 13 chapters, translating ancient warfare into modern insight. Chapter 1, Laying Plans. Every great victory begins long before a single move is made. In this first chapter, Sun Tzu introduces 5 fundamental factors that determine success: moral influence, weather, terrain, command, and doctrine. These are the conditions you must understand before you act. Moral influence refers to the alignment between the leader and the people. If those you lead do not believe in your cause, your leadership is already compromised. Weather and terrain are metaphors for conditions: the timing, the environment, the variables you cannot control. Wise leaders work with these, not against them. Command is about competence. The general must possess wisdom, integrity, courage, and strictness. Doctrine is organization, the structure, discipline, and clarity that allow an army to move as one. Sun Tzu's brilliance lies in this. Before any battle, assess these factors deeply. Victory does not go to the strongest, it goes to the most prepared. Plan not for hope but for reality. Success is secured not in combat but in clarity. Chapter 2, Waging War. War is costly, in time, energy, resources, and life. Sun Tzu warns us to never enter battle lightly. Every conflict you engage in drains you. Every argument, every project, every confrontation requires something from you. So the question is it worth it? Sun Tzu says, when you engage in actual fighting, if victory is long in coming, then men's weapons will grow dull and their ardor will be damped. In modern terms, prolonged struggle weakens even the strongest spirit. Whether it's a business launch or a personal mission, delays sap energy. Thus, act with speed but only when you are ready. He also speaks of resource management. Use the enemy's resources when possible. Win efficiently. Waste is defeat in disguise. The lesson is clear. Plan for sustainability. Don't just win the first round, win with momentum intact. Chapter 3, Attack by Stratagem. The highest form of warfare, Sun Tzu says, is not to destroy the enemy, but to break their will without fighting. The greatest leaders win with minimal conflict. They destabilize resistance through intelligence, diplomacy, and persuasion before battle begins. If you know the enemy and know yourself, you need not fear the result of 100 battles. This is the heart of strategic thinking. Know your strengths. Know your opponent's weaknesses. Know the terrain of the situation. Only then can you position yourself to win without force. In today's world, this chapter speaks to the power of negotiation, positioning, brand strategy, and emotional intelligence. It teaches us to solve problems upstream, to anticipate before we are forced to react. In any game, the one who wins is the one who needs to fight the least. Chapter 4, Tactical Dispositions. This chapter is about positioning. Sun Tzu says that the skilled general takes up a position where he cannot be defeated. He does not rely on luck. He prepares so thoroughly that failure becomes nearly impossible. He writes, the victorious strategist only seeks battle after the victory has been won. This isn't arrogance. It's precision. It means stacking conditions in your favor, through preparation, timing, and choice, until success is the most likely outcome. Your work, your life, your relationships, they are battlegrounds of positioning. Where do you place your energy? Where do you invest your time? How do you set yourself up so that even if opposition comes, you're already standing on higher ground? This chapter teaches us that safety comes from structure. That confidence is the result of preparation. And that smart people do not chase opportunity, they position themselves to attract it. Chapter 5, Use of Energy. Sun Tzu compares military energy to the tension in a bow. Energy is not about force, it's about focus. One arrow released at the right moment, can end a battle. 1,000 arrows launched blindly do nothing. He introduces the concept of normal force and extraordinary force. Normal force is what everyone sees, your direct action. Extraordinary force is what lies beneath, timing, creativity, hidden advantage. The best leaders use both. They act visibly, but their true power is invisible. In life and business, this translates into leverage. Use momentum. Stack skills. Focus your attention like a laser. Be efficient. Direct energy toward what moves the needle, and eliminate what doesn't. Sun Tzu reminds us, power comes from discipline, not intensity. Chapter 6, Weak Points and Strong. Here we learn that victory comes from exploiting weakness, not challenging strength. Sun Tzu urges us to study the enemy not for what they show, but for what they hide. If they are arrogant, they can be surprised. If they are tired, they can be pushed. If they are reactive, they can be baited. He teaches deception, not for manipulation but for mastery. Appear weak when you are strong. Hide your true intention. Confuse to disorient. Then strike with clarity. This is not about dishonesty. It's about reading patterns, reading people, and learning to move with agility. Not all strength is visible. And not all weakness is fatal, unless it's exposed. In modern terms, understand your competition. Learn their habits. See the patterns. Then innovate around them. Attack the market in places they aren't watching. Enter conversations no one else is brave enough to lead. Chapter 7, Maneuvering. Once you've engaged in action, Sun Tzu warns, movement must be careful and deliberate. Hasty decisions and emotional reactions are punished swiftly in war, and in life. The key here is flexibility. To maneuver effectively is to adapt constantly, to read the situation moment by moment. Sun Tzu teaches that you must never rely on a single plan. Instead, develop contingencies and be ready to pivot without hesitation. Understand terrain, the literal and metaphorical ground you stand on. Know how to use space, distance, timing. Use distractions, redirections, and calculated pauses to shape your opponent's perception and behavior. He cautions against overextending. In life and leadership, this means don't stretch your resources, your energy, or your team too thin. Always leave yourself room to move, to retreat if necessary, to regroup and strike from a better angle. Maneuvering is not just about action, it's about restraint. It's about giving yourself the space to remain strategic, not desperate. Chapter 8, Variation in Tactics. The best strategies are fluid, not fixed. In this chapter, Sun Tzu discusses the dangers of rigidity. No one plan works forever. The general who succeeds is the one who adjusts based on new intelligence, changing conditions, and the evolving behavior of the enemy. The warning here is timeless. Do not become attached to the plan. Become committed to the objective, yes, but stay flexible in how you achieve it. In business, relationships, and leadership, this is a critical principle. You cannot anticipate everything. You must adapt in real time. Sun Tzu lists 5 dangerous faults that ruin a general: recklessness, cowardice, a hot temper, a concern for personal honor, and over-solicitude for troops. Each of these leads to poor decisions under pressure. Know yourself. Know your patterns. Stay grounded and disciplined, not reactive. Variation is not weakness. It is strength. The rigid tree snaps in the storm. The flexible one bends and survives. Chapter 9, The Army on the March. This chapter is rich in observation. How to read signs, how to interpret silence, how to sense what is not being said. Sun Tzu explains how to analyze an army's condition based on how it moves, how it camps, how it behaves. The application to modern life is powerful. Leaders must be observers. You must learn to read energy, morale, patterns in people. Pay attention to the small things. Posture, tone, enthusiasm, hesitation. These are signs of deeper truths. If a team is slow to respond, if energy is low, if communication breaks down, these are not surface issues. They are signals. Leaders who ignore these signs walk into disaster. Leaders who read the field win before they fight. This chapter reminds us that wisdom is quiet. It comes from attention, from nuance, from watching closely while others are distracted. Stillness, patience, and subtlety are force multipliers. Chapter 10, Terrain. Different terrains call for different tactics. Sun Tzu outlines 6 types of ground, each requiring its own strategy. The deeper lesson? Context shapes strategy. What works in one situation fails in another. In life, we all face varied terrain. Moments of opportunity, danger, transition, conflict, expansion. You must learn to assess where you are before you decide how to move. Are you advancing into new ground? Are you surrounded? Are you retreating? Are you holding a high position? Leadership is not just about making decisions, it's about making the right decisions for the situation. Wisdom means knowing not just what to do but when and where to do it. Don't apply the same strategy to every challenge. Study your terrain first. Sun Tzu also reminds us, when the ground is unfavorable, don't rush in. Let the enemy exhaust themselves first. Let the conditions change. Often, doing nothing is more powerful than striking too soon. Chapter 11, The 9 Situations. This is one of the longest and most strategic chapters in the book. Sun Tzu describes 9 kinds of battlegrounds, from familiar territory to hostile lands, from scattered forces to death ground, where retreat is not an option. Each one demands a different mental and tactical approach. The deepest insight comes with the concept of death ground. When a force has no escape, when it must win or perish, it often fights with unmatched intensity. Leaders can harness this principle not through manipulation, but through commitment. When there's no backup plan, your focus sharpens. When you burn the boats, your heart shows up fully. Sun Tzu tells us that when people feel like their survival depends on success, they often surpass expectations. The same is true for you. When you commit without safety nets, when you go all in, you access levels of discipline, creativity, and resilience that otherwise stay dormant. But use this wisdom carefully. You cannot live in death ground every day. You must choose when to raise the stakes. And when you do, lead with clarity, courage, and belief. Chapter 12, The Attack by Fire. In this chapter, Sun Tzu outlines 5 ways to use fire as a weapon. But the lesson goes deeper than literal flames. Fire is a metaphor for chaos, for intensity, for unleashing energy when the time is right. Fire must be controlled. It must be timed with precision. And it must never burn your own people. Leaders often fail by releasing chaos they cannot contain: gossip, panic, fear, manipulation. These are fires that consume everything. But when used with discipline, fire clears ground, creates urgency, and disrupts complacency. The lesson here is about the power of shock, the role of surprise, the need for momentum. But always be ready with a plan for what comes after. Destruction without vision is failure. Sun Tzu closes with a warning: never rely solely on natural forces. Not fire, not weather, not chance. Use them only as allies, never as strategy. Strategy must come from within. Chapter 13, The Use of Spies. The final chapter focuses on intelligence. Victory belongs to the one who knows what others do not. Spies, in Sun Tzu's time, were the key to uncovering enemy plans, morale, strengths, and weaknesses. Today the lesson is clear. Information is power. You cannot lead blindly. You must gather insight constantly, about your environment, your competitors, your team, your own mind. This does not mean paranoia. It means awareness. Your strategy is only as good as the data it's based on. Sun Tzu describes 5 types of spies, each with their own role. Translated today, this means sources, feedback loops, analytics, intuition, and trusted counsel. Don't guess. Observe. Don't assume. And finally, protect your own secrets. Loose lips break empires. Strategy thrives in silence. Speak only when the result is strengthened by what is said. Conclusion: the warrior's path. The art of war is more than a military manual. It is a philosophy of power, clarity, and discipline. It teaches us that the fiercest warriors are the calmest, that the strongest leaders are the most prepared, that the greatest victories are invisible, won through insight, not violence. In a world of noise, Sun Tzu teaches silence. In a world of chaos, he teaches structure. In a world of force, he teaches subtlety. And in your life, whether you are leading a company, raising a family, building a dream, or fighting a personal battle, this wisdom matters. Win without fighting. Position yourself wisely. Move only when the conditions are right. Know yourself. Know others. And remember that the true war is not out there. It is inside, between your fear and your discipline, your ego and your purpose, your impulse and your strategy. Stillness is power. Strategy is freedom. Master them both, and you'll never lose again.